Well, hello everyone and welcome to the UCI Mountain Bike Cross Country Olympic World Cup. We are here this morning bright and early from Lenzerheide in Switzerland for the under 23 women are just getting ready in the call-up boxes as I speak. My name's Rick McLaughlin. Joining me in the booth is Bart Brenchens. Bart, exciting races ahead today.
Yes, 4 different categories. Start with the women under 23 this morning. And I'm really looking forward to this big day.
Big day for you, Bart. You're going to have to do much of the work because my voice is nearly gone after the downhill yesterday.
I can imagine, yes. What a day it was too, actually.
What an incredible set of races we had from the downhill riders. But today is all about the endurance mob. This is cross-country Olympic racing. And it is one of the biggest days of the year for the cross-country athletes. Any race in Switzerland is a huge race for cross-country riders as we see the top 8 take the start line. Samara Maxwell from New Zealand.
Two-time World Cup victorious rider in Mosetan and snowshoe last year.
Sarah Cordonova, Santa Cruz Rock Shocks.
Three-time national champion.
Kira Bohm from Cube, Next Generation XC from Germany.
2 silver medals at the 2023 national championships. It's Australia's
Noelle Burry went well last time out in the Czech Republic. A lot of pressure on her today.
A double title weekend at the Danish national
Zoe Cuthbert from Australia.
The overall in 2022
already been quite a successful second round for her. What can she do today in the cross-country Olympic distance?
in the short track 2 nights ago. Another young
Sophie Heavy Pedersen, Villiers Pirelli factory team in that leader's jersey from the last time out in the Czech Republic. And Jania Kaluri for Tumus Akros, Young Stars, big Swiss team. Pressure on her shoulders this morning. Ronja Blurklinger for the Live Factory Racing Squad.
The winner from the short track last Thursday it was.
Yep, she faced some adversity in Czech Republic the first round. Mechanicals stymieing that for her, but you get the feeling she's going to be the woman to beat today, Bart.
Yes, she's a very technical, strong rider too, and on this course you need to have the technical skills, you need to have the power, and she's in a good shape. She became national champion as well 2 weeks ago. Last week, actually, it was. Sorry for that. "69 riders, 20 different nations in this category."
Anna McGorham there from Great Britain. Alina Benoit from Switzerland. So many French and Swiss riders in the under-23 women's ranks, Bart.
Yeah, also a lot of national teams coming here with these young riders if they are not part of an elite UCI team.
Well, they're getting ready for the start now. So shortly we will go to the big red lights, and then it's a random start thereafter. We will wait for them to go green here in Lenzerheide Bike Kingdom. And there are the red lights. They are under start orders now. One of the biggest days in mountain bike cross-country racing prepares to get underway here in Lenzerheide. And it's go at the second round of the UCI Mountain Bike Cross Country Olympic World Cup for the under-23 women. And it's Blurklinger who leads them up the first hill, up the start climb.
That start lap, it's a bit different from the original lap. It goes on the asphalt the whole time, actually to the highest point of this course. So a wide turn to the left, where the riders are right now. And from there on, it's a long climb to the top. And later on in the next full lap, the riders, they will take a little bit of a different part here. This part is only for the start.
Zoe Cuthbert then out
Zoe
front.
Cuthbert, yeah, good start for her. She's very strong in short track. We saw that as well in where she had that big crash in Nova Mesto in the first round.
Yeah,
that first corner.
It was a big crash. It's still going on, that crash. I think it was that big, but she leads them up this start climb. Bart, bit of altitude here as well in Lenzerheide.
Yeah.
I ran that climb a couple of mornings ago, and it felt like you were holding onto my jumper the whole way up
you
there.
will slow down automatically on this elevation if you go too fast.
How do the cross-country Olympic riders deal with this? Will they have been at altitude for a while now? I know we used to see in Andorra, we used to see Nino Schurter arrive on race morning itself, so they didn't have to deal with the altitude.
Yeah, I think Nino, he lives very close to here in Goor. That's at the bottom of this mountain. And he's used to ride here in these conditions. He's coming here very often for training, so he knows what he has to do. But many of these riders, they have been training on altitude. Livigno is not that far from here in Italy, a very famous place for altitude training. But also more riders has been in the Alps, in the French Alps for altitude training, La Plagne, for example.
Just talk us through what you mean by altitude training. So you do set parameters at a higher altitude because there's less oxygen.
There's less oxygen. That's actually the main reason why they living over there and training over there. And yeah, with less oxygen, your body reacts to make more red blood cells to have the same power to deliver the power what you need to have in training actually. And your body reacts very quickly in that. And riders, they can use it for better performance on a lower elevation. But here in Lenzerheide, it's 1,500 meters, so riders definitely, they will feel it. This is the first descent.
Yeah, there are two options here, one to the right, one to the left. It's actually quite, dare I say, entertaining descent. Not that any of these guys are out there having fun this morning, but it's all about racing and being competitive. But you can swing up to the right-hand side of the shot there, as you can see, and drop back down through a really nice left-hand section.
Yeah, two different options. The riders can go to the left here, do you see it, and also to the right. And actually, if you have entering one of these lines, you have to follow them to the bottom of this descent. There's no opportunity anymore to cross to the other line.
There's a fairly sizable drop on the right-hand side of it, isn't there?
It is a very steep part. It is at the bottom of that. And you can see the riders in the back already
out the other side
climbing
of it.
again.
And this is the section they are climbing up. It's so typical of this Lenzerheide circuit in that it's all these like small, quite soft routes, like a carpet really, that you're riding on the whole time that could just sap energy.
Yeah, it has a lot of routes, this course here. Actually, this course is designed by Ralph Neff. A couple of years ago already, but it's still
I thought it was tricky. Now I understand. Yeah, Ralph's had a hand in it. He's had the shovel out.
But the course is almost still the same as the original one from some years ago. Two new sections in today's course. And we will see these new parts later. I
think if you had to characterize this course compared to the other ones that we see in the UCI Mountain Bike World Series, it's that it's going to sound obvious, but you're working throughout, aren't you? You never get a break on this track.
No, you have to push the whole time, actually. It goes up and down, as you can see here as well. You can carry on a little bit of speed most of the time, but then suddenly you slow down too much. You have to pedal again. But also these roads, they are so bumpy, and you need to have to keep the pressure on your pedals the whole time to keep your bike in balance and to go forwards.
Kenta Gallagher actually told me earlier in the weekend that it's a strange track because whenever you're pushing the pace and whenever you are going fast, it feels quite good. But the minute you start to slow down because of everything that there is on the track, he said it feels like the bike starts to go backwards on you. You can't get it going again. It's whenever you're riding at race speed, it rides well, but if you drop back off that, everything that your front wheel hits, all those little impacts, they just add up and it makes you feel like you're going backwards.
And suspension, tire pressure, these things are really necessary on a course like this.
Here is that start again. Bart, talk us through this one.
Yeah, the start always is very important for these riders. They like to be in the right position when it comes down in the first descent. So working hard here on this climb to move forward to the front. But on a climb like that, it's not so wide, so overtaking each other is not that easy at all.
Really competitive field for the under 23 women as well this year, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, also now with showing these riders on TV, it's becoming more interesting for teams as well, and to develop riders like this.
We saw in the junior downhill as well. You know, junior downhill used to be a real, you know, out the back of the van sort of privateer endeavour, but the level and the level of the technology, the team support, the pilot skill, if you like, involved in it, super high. Those races as well, free to air.
And here you see
on YouTube.
So how much roots this track has.
The track looks in really good shape, though. Were you out on it this morning?
We have been riding on the other side of the mountain where the sun was out already. I mean, on this side it's still a little bit colder, especially in the morning when the sun comes over the mountains. But I think the conditions are quite good. Sometimes there's a little bit of moisturing on the roots, which makes them slippery, but
it looks in good shape, actually.
It looks in really good shape. We had some rain a couple of days ago, which makes the course very slippery, but no mud at all on this course. Just, what I said, if they carry on some moisturing on their tires over the roots, then it will be a bit slippery. You can see here as well, the ground is still a little bit, looks like a little bit wet. Sophie Heby Pedersen leading now in the leader's jersey. Yeah,
she seems to have broken away. The Dane.
A very powerful rider she is. She won a lot of races already this year, this season, and also last year she was showing her shape.
Yeah, if you're new to mountain bike racing, you will never meet a group of people more obsessed with the conditions of mud and dirt and a million different words for it. I know a lot of the downhillers yesterday talking about how it was actually ideal because it was overcast, which meant that the water didn't evaporate off the track, which held it together. You know, you get into the real science of mud at this stage.
No, but I mean, the terrain, it's an off-road sport, so it's really important. The traction, the grip, what you have with your front, your rear tires, so the tire pressure, all these things. And also on a course like this, I mean, you need to have a volume as well. A bigger volume tire absorbs the bumps all the time much better.
What was the sort of width of tire you were running back in your day?
Well, I think it was even 1.9.
1.9, I was going to guess.
26-inch wheels.
Smoking dart. 1.9.
But now these days everyone is on a 29er bikes. 2.4 tires. That's almost a common size.
And those bigger volume tires, they run them at incredibly low air pressures, and the idea is that the tire has lots of bandwidth to deform over things, absorb impacts, and to leach onto the side of those routes and provide plenty of grip for the racers. So
now they even are talking about with an insert, so that's actually a protection against pinch flat. These inserts absorbs and have a better rebound and less rolling resistance as well. That's something really new the tire companies are working on.
Yeah, the insert's kind of like a pool noodle that you get at the swimming pool that they just prevent punctures. But this is our first look at the crowd that are growing here in Lenzerheide. And that to your right-hand side of your screen is the pit, the tech feed zone. Sophie Heby Pedersen, no, absolutely no need to go in there just yet. Cracking on.
Yeah, this early morning, I mean, the temperature is not too warm. She will feel comfortable.
It's actually a lovely temperature for a bike race.
Yeah, it's perfect actually. It's quite early. I mean, normally riders, they have to eat like 3 hours before the start. So 8:30 starts. It means 5:30 your breakfast. That's quite early.
That's inhumane.
Early wake up.
Inhumane, that. And what will that breakfast be? Well, I guess it depends rider to rider, doesn't it? But we talking sort of oats and...
Yeah, probably. Also, it depends what time of the day you have to eat. I mean, the elite riders, they start at 3:30 today, this afternoon. Of course, they are not eating breakfast anymore at around noon, but then they eat a lot of carbs. It might be pasta or it might be rice. Some also like white rolls, some just bread. It depends on the riders, the individual choices for them.
And it's tough to get food in on a race day, isn't it, as well? I know Greg...
You have to,
Greg Callahan from the enduro side of the World Cup race, and he always takes to the start ramp, and you can see the back of his jersey bulging because he has to take his breakfast with him because he's too nervous before the race to eat it. And then on the first climb, he's taken out like bread and fruit from the back of his jersey because he couldn't get it in.
Yeah,
the
for some
morning.
of the riders it's very difficult, yeah, to take their breakfast, to take their food if they are nervous.
What about coffee though? Plenty of coffee?
I think not on this age of these riders.
I don't know.
The elite riders definitely they do.
Need to get some coffee in this booth is what we need.
I'm a big fan. Actually, we went for a ride this morning without breakfast and just two espressos before the ride. And that feels really nice.
Yeah, it's hard to beat an espresso in the morning. And Bart's Pit does some of the best coffee in the business. But it's a big thing, cross-country racing coffee, isn't it? All the teams are quite a high-end setup.
Yeah,
it's a bit like an arms race.
It is, yeah. Actually, coffee, it's so popular in cycling in general.
Yeah, it's part of the culture, isn't it?
Yeah, part of the culture. That's how it is.
Well, it's an excuse to go for a bike ride. You're going to get a coffee, aren't you? So that's kind of...
They call it coffee ride.
Coffee ride. There's nothing better than clopping your way into a coffee shop in cycling shoes.
Yeah, you see all these riders on Instagram with a nice cup of coffee, sometimes a nice piece of pie with it next to it.
Why not? Sophie Pedersen then out front.
Yeah.
Zoe Cuthbert is in second, 17 seconds back in a group.
But a good start for Sophie Pedersen.
We jump on board the live drone. This is the second half of the course, really, out on the other side.
Now she's almost going back to the start-finish arena.
Just on the other side of the road from the Bike Kingdom.
But we saw also in the short track last Thursday, the under 23 category she was very strong in the start and then she blew up a little bit. So maybe she has learned from that.
Is that part of this, at this stage of their careers, Bart, the younger riders, is just learning how to pace themselves and learning how to...
Yeah, but even if on an older age, they're still making these mistakes. Especially, there's so much adrenaline in their bodies. They like to go so fast. And especially in the start, they easily blow up.
We saw perhaps one of the best displays of how to pace yourself on Friday night in the short track from Jenny Risved, who was just at the front but never in the lead and just took her time, calm, never in trouble, and then bang, disappeared on them.
Yeah, she already told these things in her interview.
She did. They should have been surprised if they'd been watching. If they'd been watching on TV, they would have learned.
She had it in mind how to do it.
Yep,
and then she is Sophie Pedersen for the first time, going into the first full lap now.
She's looking good, Bart.
Yeah.
Just gone past our booth there, spinning away quite happily. And see what this gap looks like behind her. It is Cuthbert and Blurtlinger, two of the most powerful riders in the field, following her. 21 seconds now back, though. 4 seconds.
Yeah, Ronja Bloklinger, she won the short track last Thursday. The Swiss champion in the 23. Another new, young, talented rider from Switzerland.
Portnovi, Spuri, Kaluri following them.
Yeah, but for Sophie Pedersen now at the bottom of that big climb, so that part here it's still off-road. Later she will entering the asphalt again, and from there on, we've seen that before in the start lap. It goes up, but not completely to the top. Just before the top, they turn right, and that part is new of the course from this year.
It's kind of uphill berms, isn't it?
Oh, actually, that's a flowy downhill section. Normally, it's the opposite direction, right?
It's lovely to ride it downhill, but that's not what today's about.
These turns are very, very steep.
Yeah, they are steep. I ran them the other morning, and they were perilous.
Yeah.
And it's just your heart rate's already up because you've gone up the asphalt climb, and then
a short back look over her shoulder already. And here they are with Ronja Bloklinger and Zoe Cuthbert. Kortinovis not that far off on the 4th place.
This is the climb that we've seen so many attacks on over the years here in Lenzerheide, described by Nino Schurter the other night in the press conference as being not so long, not so short.
Not so long,
There's probably a word in there somewhere for that.
It depends how fast you're going, probably.
Depends how hard you're attacking, yeah. Nino Schurter in action, of course, later on.
But you can see her body language here, Sophie, how difficult and how hard it is to ride on a climb like this.
Yeah, deceptive that camera angle. I wonder if they are bringing her back a little bit, or if that's just what we can see of them.
Now Sarah Kortinovis, who is on the 2nd place, leading this chasing group. Santa Cruz team.
Yeah, our timing screens in the booth still have the gap of 21 seconds, so maybe just a bit of a...
And here is that new section. And you see also this
Oh, Blurtlinger just has to dab
turn over there.
Loses the bike length. Here is that section, that I think I've correctly identified as looking good fun to ride down, but absolutely merciless riding up it. Quite a thin, marbly, gravelly surface as well.
Yeah, and especially these insides, that inside part of these berms, there's a lot of loose gravel. So riders, they have to go a little bit more outside to have their grip. Yeah, it's a long, steep climb over here.
Denmark with a few fast young riders coming through now, Bart.
Yeah, but also in the elite categories. Malene Degen, of course, Sebastian Finney in the man elite category.
Sebastian Finney, we need to talk about him later on today.
Yeah,
what a ride in the short track.
He finished third, yeah. So, no, Denmark always strong, but also her brother, Gustav Pedersen, a very strong under-23 male, brother of Sophie.
This little section here looks like good fun. From a normal mountain biker's point of view, this looks like it would be fun.
Yeah, this actually is not a part yet, but it will become with so many rides on it today.
I'm always so cautious when I say things like that because I know these guys are here to race. They're not here to have fun like I would be, but it's a nice flowy section, off camber, loads of routes, line choices. You couldn't ride it.
And here we see the riders a little bit further down, struggling on this climb for the first full lap.
Do you know what, Bart? The temperature is nice. So this climb, when it gets hot and you can feel the heat coming back off the asphalt.
Yeah, especially in the afternoon, and then the sun is right above the riders here on this part. Then it's very hot. Sophie Heby Pedersen now for the first time in this descent here. Taking that outside line, a bit more steep here at the end. And this is that very steep section. A lot of exit speed for her.
Yeah, it is.
Looking good.
It is steeper, but you do get that free hit of speed on the way out of it if you take it.
And especially, I think for the riders, the left choice here on the left side, it's very bumpy, a lot of roots.
And we see it here now. You see it's so steep there.
And that's also a very slippery part. There's always coming a little bit of water out of the mountain.
There must be some water, coming out of the ground there, because every time I've been up there, it's been really, really slick. Yeah, it's a funny course in that there isn't many places that the real descenders can make time on, but there's lots of awkward features, like that big boulder, that big rock that you've got to get up on.
You have to find your flow on this course.
Yeah, definitely.
Your rhythm as well. And it's not easy at all. It goes up and down all the time. That big climb where we have been talking about. But if you're entering the highest point of this course, after that it goes slightly down all the time, up again, up, down again. So
off the drop then.
No problems for her.
Pedersen looking good out front.
Yep, looking strong. Stretching her legs here in these little descents.
I wonder if we will see it later in the lap. There is a big white boulder to the left-hand side of the track that the riders have to get the bike up onto before you can drop off the back of it. And
riders have been practicing a lot on that.
It's actually getting onto it is the hard bit.
It's a blind step up, and after, luckily, the riders, they know what they have to do, but it's a tricky part.
You know, that's just that sensation that you get as a mountain biker where you see where you would crash. I would crash getting onto the rock. I'd be able to get off it all right because I'd be off the bike by then, but actually getting onto it would be the issue.
There's a B option over there, and actually it's not that slow.
It's not too
especially
bad.
If there are too many riders in front of you. I think the B choice, that lane is not bad at all.
So would
be nice to see that on a GoPro camera.
What Bart's referring to, of course, is in cross-country racing, a lot of this course, there will be A and B options, what are known as, and the A option is a slightly more technical, more challenging route, but often faster. The B option may be slightly more circuitous, but as Bart says, if somebody's had an issue on the A one, or there's lots of riders taking the A, it can be just as fast. It can get you some clear air.
Yeah, and especially in the beginning of the race, sometimes there are so many riders around you, then even the B line, it's not a bad choice at all.
That chase group now, 16 seconds back.
Chasing group is coming back. Sarah Kortinov is leading that group.
Drone shot there, you can just see the moto ahead of them.
So 1 start lap plus 4 full laps, 5 in total.
So it's Pedersen from Blurklinger, from Kortenovus, from Cuthbert, and from Kaluri in
12
fifth.
seconds now only, so Ronja Bloklinger is coming back.
Well, Burry as well in sixth, but in a little bubble by herself.
This is Ronja Bloklinger.
You can see the
Swiss
roots.
champion.
Relentless here in Lenzerheide Bike Kingdom.
Yeah, we saw that fast start in the short track as well from Sophie Pedersen.
Yeah, she's really...
Ronja Bloklinger here, second place.
Blurklinger, she had that mechanical nightmare, I think is probably an accurate description of it, in the cross country Olympic distance in Novo Mesto na Morave in the Czech Republic, where she had a rear flat and they really struggled to get the back axle into the bike, and it was
Took
just
a lot of time, yeah.
Yeah, and by contrast, I mean, we saw then Evie Richards in the elite women's race, and it's just that little bit of racecraft where Richards just stepped away from the bike, took a gel, let the mechanics do their work.
Let the mechanics do the work.
Blurklinger, she rode past the pit, then she had to go backwards. She got to the pit and then she tried to help, and the stress levels were rising, whereas it's just that little bit of tradecraft as a racer that Richards knew, no, I'll just leave them do it. I'll have a gel.
Yeah, yeah. But that's also the experience, probably what Evie Richards already has. Louisa Daubermann from Germany, 22 positions she has. With Sophie Pedersen still leading here. So we Cuthbert in the pink jersey, leading that group. Sara Kortenovus from Italy behind her. And then we have Noelle Burry from Switzerland. On this difficult part of the course, new this is as well. A small loop, similar to the original course, the terrain. A little bit extra, some extra meters. That's a chasing group with the three riders. This is your leader, the number one on her bike, Sophie. Drop seat post down here for her to make it more comfortable. That's that big drop where we have been talking about before. No problem for Sophie Pedersen.
Just awkward, isn't it? Awkward more than challenging. It's just...
It is, yeah. You need to have the confidence.
It's one of those things I know certainly...
Ronja Bloklinger is actually not that far off on the second place.
She seems to have gone herself now, taking it into her own hands, 11 seconds back.
And definitely on this course, I think some of the parts riders love it, and some of the parts riders are more struggling to keep on with the speed.
I think it's one of those courses as well that once you start to slow down, once the energy levels dip, then it starts swinging at you, then it starts hurting, because there's nowhere to relax at all.
11 seconds only now. Ronja Bloklinger on second place. The chasing group 18 seconds back.
Features like that big boulder, the old saying in the Enduro World Cup is you're not going to win it there, but you could certainly lose it. You know, you're not going to make much time cresting those awkward tech features, but you could certainly come off, do yourself a mischief quite easily. Into the tech feed zone then.
Probably for a bottle for her.
There is the bottle. Let's see the changeover go smoothly. Nope.
No, maybe it's a backup. Most of the time teams have a backup.
Doesn't look like there is, Bart.
Not today.
Not
so
today.
You can see that line, right? The staff people have to stay behind it.
It's one of those ones, we see that a lot. It is deceptively tricky to take a bottle, isn't it?
I mean, the speed over there is not so high, so actually I'm surprised that she missed her bottle. It's maybe not the experience she has normally. With the speed of even 40 k's an hour, it's
challenging.
It's
challenging.
There's always a little bit of stress involved.
I'm asking you because I was never good enough to have someone give me a bottle, so I always just assumed it was hard to do.
No, even to give it to the riders, there's a little bit of stress involved. Chain off, I think. It must be
Blurklinger.
On that bumpy part of the course over there, on that
just
wooden bridge.
The chain off, gets the bike back in gear. Do you know what? That's not the disaster it could have been.
Luckily, it went back on very quickly. So normally it doesn't happen that quick. Most of the time these days,
it's rare you see a chain come off these days.
Yeah, this the one-by drive systems what everyone has. But
so
still, a chain guide, especially on a very bumpy course like this, is I would say better to have. Definitely
So
better
what
to
Bart's
have.
referring to there is all the race bikes now, it's a single chain ring at the front of them, whereas once you maybe would have had 2 or 3 even, and a wider range of gears at the back of the bike. Now 12, yeah, and the
12.
rear derailleur as well has what's known as a clutch system in it, which prevents it from moving forward whenever the suspension's moving up and down, which generally is pretty bang on for chain retention, so we don't really see chains popping off
the
much.
teeth of the front chain ring
Unprofiled, yeah.
has a very like a thick one and a thin one. So and there's only one position of the chain to fit in.
Yeah.
And but still, 2 different systems, Shimano and SRAM, I would say. And I think, SRAM came up with the one-by system. Shimano followed them as well, and both systems are good right now. But a drop chain still it's possible.
It's possible.
Yeah, and it costs a lot of time. It very disturbs your rhythm too.
If you've been around the sport for a while, it is incredible, especially we commented on it during the downhill yesterday, just how quiet bikes are now. You know, like back in the day, they used to sound like a toolbox being thrown down some stairs, but nowadays they're silent. You just get that lovely fut.
But I've seen their the drivetrain, and they have like a chain guide on top, but also a chain guide at the bottom, and then they have like a special guide, even on the chain stay to lead the chain actually in the perfect direction. Yeah,
traveling at the speed that people travel at on downhill bikes, the last thing you want is a chain flapping around.
Yeah, and downhill, and also the suspension, of course, of a downhill bike. How much suspension do they have these days?
Over 200 mil.
Over 200 dollars.
Yeah, so you're talking a lot of travel. So here we see those 2 chasers.
But the cross country is the same, 120. It's almost standard now these days.
Did you have any?
I did with 40 when I started. 40 millimeters of travel, but no lockout on your handlebars.
That's more
back in the days.
That's more of a suggestion of suspension than actual suspension, isn't it?
And actually, the suspension didn't work as it does these days.
40 millimeters. Wow.
Yeah.
I bet that was fairly heavy as well.
Yeah, and also I think the sag of the suspension was already half of it. So you had 2 left.
So it sagged by 20 mil and you had 20 mil to work with. But I bet that was cutting edge. That was like space age stuff, was it?
It is, yeah.
I think I got my first
technology in these bikes, it's incredible. Mechanics are working on it every day.
They've come so far. If you got into if this under 23 Women's World Cup race is the race that gets you into mountain biking, you go and test a few bikes from your local shop, you have no idea you're born. We have been through the wars to get these bikes to where they are now.
Yeah, and also the weight, of course, that's another really critical thing to talk about.
There's a group of 3 then chasing.
Yeah, maybe 4.
4, yeah. Cortinovis and Kaluri have ridden themselves back onto the back of the chasing 2.
Gina Kaluri on the 5th place from Switzerland. 23 seconds off only. Almost in touch with that chasing group.
Yeah, Kaluri 2nd last time out in Novo Mesto na Morave.
Yeah, Ronja Bloklinger with her drop chain lost a little bit of time, but she's also still part of that chasing group. 19 seconds of the lead.
To paraphrase the immortal words of downhill superstar Sam Hill, you've got to have the bad days. You've got to have those bad days because you learn a lot in them, and they give you that mental resilience.
Yeah, and riders, they have to deal with these hard days.
Sometimes those days make you angry, and a little bit of anger goes a long way in this sport as well.
Yeah, only a few can be on the podium, eh?
Yeah,
only 3.
There's only so many spaces as the rest of the chasing group come past our commentary booth, the start-finish line now, just to give you an idea.
Yeah, a group of 7 with Emily Johnson is in there.
Minute and 20 back, minute 25 back, so the group out front, you happen to think that your winner is going to come from there.
Josef van Doren from the Netherlands here, that we see with the onboard camera. Back to your leader. Sophie Heby Pedersen from Denmark. She became national champion in the elite category as well in Denmark.
Yeah, did she?
Yep.
It's a big result. There's some fast elite riders there.
Yeah, Caroline Beuye, for example, Malene Degen.
Yeah.
So some strong Danish riders, but she beat them all.
Will these four start to work together, Bart?
They try, and you see that the gap stays more like the same, 17 seconds now. I think they have a couple of strong riders who can be fast here on this part of the course, the climb.
There is that climb.
And they have also a few who are very strong on that more bumpy, flat section, where we have that big rock and the roots. So Sara Cortinovis from Italy now, strong climber leading this chasing group.
Yeah, very slight but very powerful rider, Cortinovis.
Yeah, and I think Ronja Blochlinger, for example, she's very strong on these rooty sections. And Sui Kudburda, of course, she's strong as well. And Ginia Calori, another talented Swiss young rider.
One of the many talented Swiss young riders. Massive day of cross-country Olympic racing ahead of us today.
Yeah, and Ginia Calori, she's part of the Ralph Neff development team, Thomas across Young Stars.
Yeah, Ralph Neff, one of the biggest Swiss stars for many years, now a team manager and helping to bring these young Swiss riders through. And it's something that helps to keep the Swiss nation on top, I think. We talked to Nino Schurter at round 1 earlier in the year, and he said he felt a lot of responsibility to help start working with the younger Swiss riders, just as Christoph Sauser worked with him and the guys before him.
Yeah, but that is also good to see these guys back in the sport with their team. And especially, I think Ralph Neff, he has a huge development team with a lot of young riders.
Yep, Ralph Neff, a finger in many pies. You always see him cutting around the pits on his e-bike, don't you? And the team can't just having.
Yeah, these days the team managers, the technical trainers are allowed to ride on the course with an e-bike to help the riders.
Why not?
Yeah, I mean, they're not the youngest anymore.
Do you take an e-bike, Bart?
Not yet.
Not yet. Bart's still keeping it real.
I did last year, but I'm back on my full suspension again.
Yeah, full suspension bike, hard to beat. I've rediscovered mine of late, and a well set up full suspension bike, so good. Here they are down through this tight technical section.
Yeah,
you can see the speed.
Also we
There's the beeline. The beeline to the right hand side of your screen. Kaluri, and you can see just losing bike and a half.
Yeah, especially that exit speed of that part is not that fast anymore. So if you take the A line, you carry on much more speed. You see a little bit of a gap in between the first two and the second two of the chasing group. I would say maybe the more technical riders with Kudbert and Blochlinger now leading the chasing group. Cortinovis is staging the gap very quickly now.
Yeah, Cortinovis seems to be doing the work on that first climb. That's where she seems to be able to bring herself back into it.
So interesting this race.
It's kind of, it rewards neither the specialist climbers or the descenders this course, does it? It's kind of not really one or the other.
No. And also after the big climb, where we have been talking about already, after that there's still a long part to the finish line. And you can easily close that gap again if you are strong on this part of the course. Sophie Pedersen now still leading here, and she can see the riders next to her in these turns. The sun is out over there. Nice.
Yeah, it's starting to warm up here in Lenzerheide.
13 seconds. You see, Ronja Blochlinger is very strong on this part of the course. She brought it back till 11 in the previous lap.
There's going to be plenty of heat out on the course here later on today when the elite level racers take to it. We do have the under 23 men's race, coming up after this one. And that should be thoroughly entertaining. There's some serious firepower in that.
I mean, these young guys are same speed for the first few laps as the elite men do. And that group is quite big. Also, thunder showers are expected for late afternoon.
Oh, that could spice things up a treat, especially in this nice, dry, warm commentary booth. Nothing better than being sat in here whenever training outside.
If just a little bit of rain comes down and you see on sections like this, and this is a very off-camber section with the roots becoming so slippy and it's so difficult to ride.
Yeah. You can see there.
Now it's nice and dry.
Yeah, that shot on your screen now, really every inch of this track, apart from the asphalt climb, feels like it is lined with those roots. There's a lot of energy goes up through the wheels into the bike. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, different lines.
Yeah, no.
Oh, that's very steep over there to have a crash. And you see she's sliding down all the way.
Already getting the bike turned around and getting ready to go. Fair play. I actually think that turned out better for her than I thought it was going to initially. I was expecting.
Luckily, she didn't hurt herself too bad.
No, I was expecting some serious scenes to unfold in front of us there. But Blurklinger now 11 seconds back.
Exactly the same as the previous lap.
Yep, they're holding station at the minute.
So we could build on 16 seconds only, third place. Then we have Sarah Kortinovis here.
Being roared on by coaches there.
Ginia Kaolori in the fourth place. It's fifth place. Sorry, fifth place, yes. But the number one in the race is the number one on her bike. And the sun is shining now on the course.
Yep, starting to warm up. We have, as Bart said, had some weather earlier on in the weekend, just enough to keep the tracks in one piece, but you kind of also feel like it's been boiling up here as it does in the mountains, like it's due a heavy storm at some stage. Last night I thought it had arrived after the downhill and then it stopped.
Yeah, it stopped, huh? Yeah. But that's in the mountains always, huh? You can have a thunderstorm, but also almost a few kilometers away from it, there's nothing.
I was really upset because I was sat outside a bar having an Aperol Spritz. I thought we're going to get, you know, I'm going to have to stay here. I'm going to have to stay here and wait out the rain, but sadly not.
Luckily it didn't rain during the race in the downhill. We had that before here, I remember.
We have, yeah, and that is the thing about downhill races. They do, everybody wants it to be equal. They want the track to be exactly the same for everyone. And although it makes it exciting for the fans, it can neutralise a race as well if it starts to rain halfway through. Unless, of course, we see the genius of the likes of the late great Stevie Smith and St. Anne all those years ago, where it rained, everybody said, nope, that's it. Podium's decided, and he came down and absolutely smashed everyone to a winning run. So now and again, the
here you see that big rock.
There's that big rock on the left.
Is right now. Oh, it's Ronja Bloklinger. Who is?
Makes it
no,
easy.
It's Sophie. It's Sophie Pedersen. Yeah, it makes it easy for her, but it's absolutely not an easy part of the course to ride.
No, you can see it up to the right-hand side of your screen there, that wooden boarding as they run off it. You can see the speed, you just can get off it. But as I say, it's actually getting onto it is a tricky bit. Dropping off it's fine, but it's quite an awkward, sort of craggy couple of steps up on the top of it. And the problem is,
it's very narrow on top.
And when your energy levels are low, and
when you're
very easy to get a puncture.
Oh, as well, You
can just pinch a tyre on the sharp rock. And 12 seconds now to go up to Blurklinger.
Yeah, the gap stays a little bit like it has been before. Similar now. Difficult for the riders to close these gaps. Only a few seconds in between everyone. Drop of seat goes down for her. Coming into the tech feed again.
Now, will she get the bottle this time?
She has to now.
Yep.
Most of the time these bottles have also a little bit of energy drink in it, so some carbohydrates for some extra energy for the last part of the race.
Yeah, the fast carbs in the drinks has been a big development.
And that's the gap in between the number 1 and 2 in the race. In the 23 women.
Well, you know little markers around the track part where you saw them last time, and are they further ahead of you? Or are they
No, but riders, they know exactly where they are, how fast they are, what's the difference.
10 seconds now, so slowly coming down.
And also, of course, staff people from the team, they will inform the riders as well. Coaches, but also the mechanics do.
Do they give them the bad news as well? If it's going the other way, do you
have to try and say something positive. Even if it's bad news. Even if you're losing time or positions, you have to be positive to the riders. Which is not always easy.
We used to see, of course, in the elite men's, they used to They used to try and encourage Sam Gaze on. He used to shout back at them. He wasn't always for the encouragement, but Sam Gaze coming up in the elite men's race later on this afternoon. After that crash in the short track,
sad to see that.
Took out himself and Nino Schurter.
Yeah.
I think he's okay.
Yeah, they're both actually. Sam Gaze finished 14th,
He
so
went past
second.
Nino, yeah.
And Nino was 16, so that's also a second row start. Still both.
Do you know what? I'm still learning this job, and you can get so caught up in who's going to win the bike race. Sometimes I didn't clock that Sam had passed him until the results came up on screen. And I said, Sam Gaze, wow, passed Nino Schurter.
And it took him a lot of time to straightening his bar, and he took it all the time for that. But he must have been very fast in the last few laps of that race.
Well, we've said it before. Sometimes an angry Sam Gaze, it can just inspire him. He can just some of his best results have come.
I think he's in a good shape.
He seems to be in great shape.
Yeah, of course, short track, that's definitely something what he likes to ride and he's very good in. But I think also on a course like this, he's strong.
Some of his big results have come whenever he feels that he's got a point to prove, you know, and he really goes after it, and just a great rider to watch whenever it's his day. So powerful and big.
Yeah, world champion short track, but also world champion marathon. I mean, the opposite.
There's not many people could say that. No, there's not.
Pauline Ferrand-Prévot.
Yeah, Pauline Ferrand-Prévôt. But let's face it, you could caveat most conversations in mountain biking.
I mean, short track, it's 20 minutes race, very high intensity. Marathon, it's a 4 or 5 hour race. Endurance.
What did you make of Rachel Atherton winning yesterday? That was an unbelievable return to form.
What a return, it is.
40 World Cup wins.
Crazy. And also Nino can be in for a record.
Yeah, Nino can go for the record today.
34.
34.
If he wins and beat Julian Absalon's 33. They are equal right now. But that's later for today. Now, back to the riders.
Yeah,
here
let's focus on
women in the 23.
Ronja Blurtlinger.
Yeah.
She's gone back out by 3 seconds again from Sophie Heavy Pedersen, our leader. There she is, with the number 1 plate.
Yeah, but Ronja Blurtlinger is not far off. You could see her in the back of the screen.
Now, Sophie Heavy Pedersen, if you're just joining us, she has gone hammer.
6 seconds only now. Ronja Blurtlinger only 6 seconds off on the second place.
She went extremely hard from the start.
I think she
maybe
did have had something like a technical problem or maybe a small mistake, because suddenly from 12 seconds it came back to 6 only. 2 more laps for her. 2 more laps to go.
2 to go. Here comes the leader past our commentary booth now.
She's still looking good.
She is still looking good, Bar, isn't she?
Yep.
A touch of the wrist fed. It's hard to read if she's breathing heavily or she seems to be pretty comfortable.
Having said
that, so does Blurtlinger. Just looks up the hill and just goes right. Magnets on. Behind her then, the battle for third place is starting to rage. Kaluri leads them across the line, this group of 3.
Cuthbert behind her, and then Kortinova is probably one of the strongest climbers from this category. (24, 26 seconds back for that chasing group.
2 to go.
At the bottom of the big climb. Ronja behind her on the second place. Good rhythm still, she's riding. "44 minutes gone in this race."
Here is that power-sapping climb that they just feel the lactic acid burning away in their legs.
Yeah, a good rhythm is very important on a climb like this, and also your mental strength, your motivation. And Sophie Pedersen will see Ronja behind her. She's not that far off. That's less than 6 seconds, I would say.
Yep.
Of course, it's on a climb and it doesn't go that fast, but
you do get that concertina effect, on the climbs where they come together and go away again, but it's looking closer.
Yeah, maybe it's 6 seconds if I count it.
See if we get. Have we got it on our screens in here?
You can see her rhythm. her body language.
Well, I can tell you, Ronja Blurtlinger, the woman in second place here, does have the fastest lap so far.
That's an interesting sign as well.
Yeah, and that's just ahead of Kortenovas and then Pedersen, so.
The US champion, Madigan Monroe, in front of us here in the commentary booth.
Yeah, our timing screen's still saying 11 seconds.
But also that chasing group, these three, they're not that far off of Ronja Blurtlinger, who is second.
Kaluri just getting out of the saddle there, as is Kortenovas.
Yep, again leading here on that climb. That's a hard turn actually over there.
It's a tight turn, isn't it?
Yeah, tight turn it is, very tight. We will see more problems later in the other categories too. Taking the turns inside. There's a lot of gravel, loose gravel.
The sun is now out in Lenzerheide, but there are a lot of very heavy black clouds.
Yeah, clouds already around.
Just to the west of us here.
And that's the difference in between the riders. The number 1, 2, and now we see that chasing group of 3. It's not that much in between.
Nope.
12, 18 seconds.
Does a line of sight make a difference, Bart? If you can see the rider in front of you,
that makes a huge difference. Yeah, the motivation is still there for these chasers, definitely. Sui Kukker now suffering with the speed on this climb. On 5th place, Australia. And Gina Carlori with Sarah Kortinova fighting for the first position to get and taking the descent. And this is where the descent starts, the highest point of the course. Dropper seat post down for these riders. Full suspension bikes for all of them. Closely together, no problems. A lot of off-camber sections here in this new part.
Chase group 16 seconds back. Blurtlinger doing it her own way, 8 seconds now.
16 to the bigger chasing group for Kortinovas and Carlori.
You see the leader, Pedersen, just taking the right-hand lane there, the A line, slightly faster but more demanding, technically.
Second place for Ronja Blurtlinger, also taking that
nice and controlled
right side lane.
Nice and controlled on the brakes there from Blurtlinger.
Sarah does the same. And Gina Carlori always taking that left lane, actually. Probably they have been practicing it and she feels more comfortable with that run.
Will they mix them up during a race, Bart, or do you tend to stick to the lap that you know?
I think they stick with it. If they have done it in training and probably they feel that's the best line for me, she will stick with it.
Will they practice the other lines though, just in case they get bumped off?
Yeah, of course they do. Of course they do. But yeah, most of the time it's a serious check what they do on the course. They're measuring a lot of things, timing, but also the speed. So and also the. Yeah, I mean, after it, it's just one part of the course where what you have been practicing, but also, yeah, how much effort does it cost to be fast on that part of the course? It's not only it has to be the mix for the whole lap. Ronja Blurtlinger and then Sarah Kortinova just coming very close right now, 3rd place.
Yeah, the technical.
Gina Carlori on 4th.
The technical side of cross country, something that's really, really come on in the last generation of riders. Most of the teams now have a technical coach on board to help them with descending technical features and
riding around with these riders.
Really, the likes of Nino Schurter, Jolanda Neff started pointing out that you could make a lot of time on descents and on technical features, and that's something that everyone has to take seriously now.
It is.
The style
and
of
the courses became also more technical.
Yeah.
So you need to have the skills. And you see here 3 arrows means a very difficult, a very steep descent. That's actually a common sign in mountain biking.
Means get ready. Put your seat down and get ready.
Yeah.
Better bring your A game. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean in marathon racing, actually, where you not have been checking out the whole course, and you see a sign like that, yeah, of course you start braking and try to find out how steep, how dangerous
looking
sections
far ahead,
are.
yeah.
But I think the riders on this course, they don't see the sign.
Yeah, it's worth checking out the UCI Mountain Bike World Series, our coverage of the Marathon World Cup this year. What a format of racing that is, something you know all too well from.
Yeah, I mean, it's also a mass participants format. Huh? Everybody can do it.
I'd love to do it, like, but just not with a clock on it. Like, to just do it for a big ride, but
it depends how much elevation of climbing it has.
Yeah, so marathon cross country riding is one big loop. So you're talking 100k this year for the World Cups, and pretty much
on the most beautiful places on earth, in the mountains.
Yeah, we head next to, where do we head next to? Leger, I think the next one is in, and then finally in Snowshoe there's 100k as well.
Yeah, beautiful places.
It's just a shame we're busy doing this part, otherwise we could get out there together. I could be on a motorbike.
You can ride some part of the course in the morning.
But it's incredible because it's a big distance, but the racing's tight.
It is, yeah. I mean,
they go back and forward a lot more than I thought.
Yeah, there are a lot of tactics involved, and team tactics as well in marathon racing.
No, thrilling. All the highlights for those are available on the UCI Mountain Bike World Series YouTube.
Virginia Carlori still on 4th place.
Here we go. We're going to see a bit more drama through this drop section.
Rosa van Doren in that
nicely
purple
done.
kit. Ronja Blochlinger, she's on 2nd place, still 16 seconds.
It's gone back out by 5 seconds, hasn't it? Maybe Pedersen just got wind that she was coming and has put a bit of an effort in, but Kortenova's looking strong in 3rd, actually. She's closing the gap to Blochlinger in front of her.
Looks like that. Let's see how rough the terrain is over there. The roots, the bumpy part of the course. Tight turns over there. Sophie Pedersen is right now. Yeah, the full suspension bike, they do their work. Beautiful shot.
Yeah. Lovely leafy undergrowth around the Red Bull Roots and Rolls section.
Working hard here in this part, moving with the whole body. That's how you have to do it. Carry on the speed in the little descents to the next climbs.
It is what really sets mountain biking out from a lot of the other cycling disciplines, is just how much of your body it works, every single inch of it. These athletes incredibly well-rounded in terms of physical condition, training.
Roots and rolls, yes, that's how it is. It is not an easy ride for Sophie Pedersen. She's pushing hard all the time. You can see her body language. She's exhausted.
I was going to ask you, Bart, is it a tough gig to be out there by yourself? There's a lot to sort of mentally deal with.
The problem is, it feels good when the gap will getting bigger, but it stays the same all the time. 11 seconds, and it has been 16, now it's 15. And only 1.5 laps to go. It's not that far anymore. But it's not extending the gap. So she has to push hard, and also the numbers 2 till 5, they are very strong too. It's still possible for them as well to win this race.
Is it mentally more complicated if you're by yourself? Because if you're with other people, you just have to get in front of them, you're racing them bar to bar. When you're by yourself, you have to turn your head off a bit, you have to manage the gap, you have to...
But as long as you are leading, the feeling is still good.
Okay, right, okay.
Of course, but also she can ride her own rhythm. Huh? She can slow down maybe a little bit on the climbs to save some energy, and pushing hard again on the more flat parts, or gain some time in the descents.
She had a drink there and threw the bottle straight away, so I'm guessing that must have been some kind of energy drink.
Yeah, and doesn't like to carry on that extra weight on her bike. Most of the time, even the bottles are not completely full, but every gram is too much for them.
Blochlinger.
She takes the bottle with her. Actually, the best part to take the drinks is around the start-finish area, that asphalt part. A bit smooth and not too bumpy. 2nd place, yes.
The sun has gone back in here, so temperature staying pretty much constant. There are those gaps. Yeah, 20 seconds now between Pedersen and Blochlinger. 8 seconds back to Kortenova. I wonder if we're just going to see her become a factor towards the end of this one, maybe get herself up into 2nd place.
Virginia Carlori, 4th place. Yeah, Ginia Calori, she's on 4th place. Sarah Kortinovas, she's on 3rd. The gap's getting bigger now, looks like.
Yeah, it looks like it, doesn't it?
Stretching her legs.
We jump on board the live drone.
Beautiful, beautiful shot.
And you can see just how hard she has to work over those routes. There is a line burned into the right-hand side there that seems to be working, but those first couple of laps, whenever the races are all together, you have to be prepared to take it to the inside. Just deal with those routes as they come.
And this is a little uphill part in that last loop to the finish line.
She heads down to the right-hand side then.
22 seconds now.
Back
Looking
towards
good.
the start finish. Yeah, 22 seconds. The elastic band seems to have broken back to Blurtlinger. Kortinovas 31 seconds back. Kaluri is in a little bubble by herself, where Zoe Cuthbert has dropped off now. 21 seconds back on the Swiss rider.
Yeah, Zoe Cuthbert already on a minute to the 5th place.
And this will really, if Pedersen can get this one to the line, it will really secure her lead in the overall quite nicely. The rest of them all sort of mixing things up and taking points off each other in the chase.
With the drone just behind her. Between the trees.
Have been followed by one of those drones before, and it feels like they're right on your shoulder. That noise,
That
is
noise.
it's very hard to work out that they're a safe distance behind you, but
It makes you a bit nervous.
it does, yeah.
Yeah, no problems at all for Sophie Peter-Pedersen. It'd be nice if your brother is following up in the next category, next race.
Puts a bit of pressure on him if you win, I guess.
Their teammates as well. Villiers Pirelli team.
Well, we just mentioned the absolute authority in that. Rachel Afferton racing with her brothers for years as well.
Yeah.
As she won early on, the pressure was on G then. It was
But he didn't win.
he didn't win as much towards the end as she did now. Certainly, Rachel Afferton stunning the mountain bike world with that comeback yesterday.
Yeah, but Gustav Pedersen, he's a very talented under-23 rider too. So he has a big chance to win the next race, the next category. As her sister does. Last lap, final lap.
Final lap then.
Lap times around 15 minutes. 14:55, the fastest lap time right now.
Yeah, fastest lap does belong to Sophie Heavy Pedersen on lap 4, the last one. So she did turn the screw, Bart.
Yeah, you saw as well the gaps became a little bit bigger immediately. 21 right now, 30 seconds to the 3rd place for Sarah Kortinovas. Santa Cruz RockShox Pro Team. And if you know it's the last lap, the final lap for the last time on that hard climb, you will push everything you have. Thomas across young stars, Ginia Calori on the 4th place. Can she make it to the podium? Only 13 seconds in between her and Sarah Kortinovas. So 2 Swiss riders in the top 5. Yeah, it motivates a lot if you can ride your home soil race. Zoe Cuthbert on 5th place. But Sophie Peter-Pedersen now look back over her shoulder on that big climb in front of her, the asphalt part.
Yep,
it's looking
last
good for
time
her.
up here. She'll be happy to see the back of this one. It's gone just about as well as you could have hoped for Sophie Heavy Pedersen. Mission accomplished.
Yeah, it was Ronja Bloklinger who had a similar lap time of 14:55 the previous lap. But that's the fastest time so far.
But 21 seconds, Bart, you feel it would take some kind of disaster for Sophie Heavy Pedersen to really...
Yeah, but I mean, it's mountain biking. A lot of things can happen. I mean, the course is not so slippery, but still you have to be concentrated. Technical problems might...
I've definitely lost more than 21 seconds in a crash before, so...
It is so.
It doesn't take much.
And that's the difference in between the number 1 and 2 in the race.
Yeah.
This is the number 3, Sarah.
She's ridden well today, Bart. She has ridden very, very well.
That tight turn.
The power to weight ratio of the cross-country racers is unbelievable, isn't it?
It is.
Such light, sort of small people a lot of the time, but the amount of watts they can put out and generate is just incredible.
So the watt per kilogram body weight, that's if you are a strong climber, that's all has to do with the weight issue. That's why the bike has to be so light. But also you need to have the power, and especially on a course like this. This one has a big climb, but also has a long part of the course where you need to have the power. Sarah Kortinov's on 3rd place, number 8 on her bike. 9 seconds in between her and Ronja Blocklinger.
Kaluri, 4th place. 41 seconds back off the leader. There's the rider in front of her. Sarah Kortinovs riding at Santa Cruz.
Yeah, Santa Cruz became a strong brand in mountain biking.
They really did, yeah. A brand that came from skateboarding legend Rob Roscopp, and then such a big name in downhill racing for so long. And Enduro really won the privateer bikes of choices, and only recently really sort of started going high end with the cross-country racing, but they've really started to carve a name for themselves. The Braido brothers and teammates of Kortinovs, of course.
Yep.
And that Santa Cruz Blur, I have one myself actually. It's a fantastic cross-country bike. Really well put together, well thought out. In the same family, of course, as Velo, which we'll see coming up a bit later on with the Jumbo-Visma riders.
Van Empel, Milan Vader.
Yeah. And that is a nice race bike. That's a race bike, isn't it?
A road bike, I would say. But also they have a mountain bike right now too. Gina Carlori on the 4th place. Can she make it to the podium? Only the top 3 in the under 23 categories. Top 5 in the elite categories.
Well, Carlori, she's mixed things up. She's taken that A-line this time.
For the first time. No problems for her.
But here is the leader, Sophie Heavy Pedersen. The Danish rider riding a pretty much textbook race. You see the saddle just pop up there in the dropper post. Sits down exactly at the right time and the right stroke of the pedal. Metronomic precision this late in the day. And Sophie Heavy Pedersen. Ronja Blocklinger for Liv. I just don't think she's been able to come up with any answers for the Dane today, Bart. She just didn't seem to be able to bridge the gap at any stage. 11 seconds was about as close as it got.
Yeah, a fast start of Sophie Pedersen, and after that, almost the same gaps in between. Most of the time, of course, now in between the numbers 2, 3, and 4, these gaps are a little bit bigger. But it's still not that much.
That early attack from Sophie Heavy Pedersen, do you think that will be to see who would have come with her? But then actually no one came with her, so she just cracked on.
Yeah. But definitely in the other categories, riders will stay more together for longer time in the race.
Yeah. Plenty of intrigue lying in wait ahead. After this race, of course, the under-23 men's race will kick off. And then after that, we're into the elites, elite women and elite men coming up later on today. On Discovery Plus, Eurosport, and GCN Plus.
And this off-camber route section, probably the hardest part of the course, the most difficult part of the course to ride.
Energy sapping, isn't it? But track's looking good. Looks like it should hold up nicely. Still seeing some black clouds overhead.
Yeah, and if the clouds are already here this early in the day, a lot of things can happen.
Yeah, as you've seen it here throughout the week. Sometimes they burn off and disappear.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
other times they do not.
It was Friday, I think, when we had some rain in the afternoon.
Yeah, it threatened it last night, but it never quite dumped it, which is why I think today, at some stage, we are going to see some stormy weather roll in to Lenzerheide Bike Kingdom.
Blocklinger, Ronja Blocklinger on second place, 14 seconds. Still a bit to go in that last lap. Sarah Kortinova struggling here on these parts.
Nearly done now, Kortinovis. Nearly done. The bike is nearly home. No mechanical disasters at all to report other than Ronja Blocklinger's chain coming off as well.
That drop chain, but it was maybe on a critical decision part of the race.
Maybe that was a bigger factor than we realized at the time.
Yeah.
Because they can just set your mental rhythm and your
mental
momentum.
rhythm. Yeah, that's how it is. Yeah. Sometimes little technical problems decide the whole race. 50 seconds now for Gina Carlori on fourth place. It's looking good for Sophie Pedersen.
Yeah, when you've got the number one on your race bike, it comes with a bit of pressure, but she's handled that well today, the Danish rider.
No better number than the number one. Ronja Blocklinger. Home solo race for her. Second place. The Swiss national champion at 23.
So, just over an hour gone. A race that a lot of these racers keep race diaries where they record their thoughts after each one of them. And Sophie Heavy Pedersen entry, it's going to be a pretty short entry this evening. Went according to plan.
She did.
Went perfectly according to plan. There's that bit awkward rock over it for the last time.
No problems.
14
Safely.
seconds, 25 seconds back to Kortinovis for Blocklinger. So you would have to guess that is going to be your top three as they head towards the line. But as Bart says, it just takes one little moment of inattention or a lack of focus, and that time can evaporate very, very quickly. So it's never over till it's over in mountain bike racing.
Yeah, but the course is not too dangerous actually today. No surprises. I would say it's dry.
I was just thinking that compared to the chunky rock sections we saw in Nova Mesto, where you can take a rear mech off or you can bang a pedal, it's really more rider focused than sort of mechanical focused, this one.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's what I think too. Of course, when the speed is more, when the speed is higher, I think especially for the many categories, and it's more easily to have technical problems.
Sophie Heavy Pedersen just got the back wheel kicked up on that bridge, which just as we were talking about it, one little moment of inattention.
Now taking that transit lane, I would call it like that. So no technical support, no feet.
Yeah, plenty of debate about that in the short track race.
11 seconds only, you see.
Yeah, 11 seconds.
Blocklinger was coming back again, and there she's sprinting for that last loop.
Yeah, we saw plenty of talking about that tech feed zone lane during the short track race, where racers were using it as a second option, which they are allowed to do, as the rule book states. So not so in the cross country Olympic. Kortinovis getting a wriggle on up the hill as well.
A little bit of a drink for that last bit of the race. But I think the riders, they found out, because also that tech feed zone has been part of the short track race from last Thursday and Friday. And riders, they found out that was a little bit of a faster lane, so now Sarah Kortinova, she took a bottle, sprinting through that lane.
Well, out of our commentary booth window, they are preparing for the leader to come to the line.
9 seconds in between the numbers 1 and 2.
The camera count.
It's still not over.
The camera count has gone up in the finish area, but it mightn't just be over yet. 9 seconds now.
That's your leader.
As close as the gap has been, and we will have a long drag on the asphalt to the line where Ronja Blurtlinger.
And this is at last the little uphill part of the course, the gravel. It goes slightly up, but it's a hard part of the course.
And that is a back marker.
If you are exhausted.
That's a back marker. Sophie Heavy Pedersen is about to catch and pass, gets herself out of the way well.
13 seconds. Yeah, normally like back markers are not able to be on the course. There's an 80% rule, which means if you're too far
back, you get pulled. But I wonder if maybe she's had an issue or something. Or
could be.
But she will need to get out of Ronja Blurtlinger's way, who will be arriving onto the scene imminently. 13 seconds now, so it's gone back out again. So
that's
maybe,
the back marker.
Maybe, just maybe, Sophie Heavy Pedersen
there
has
she
done
is,
enough.
the number 2.
There she is.
When you're blocking on 13 seconds.
Great shot this through the trees, isn't it?
It is. Winding through the trees, to the forest here in Lenzerheide, next to the lake.
Beautiful lake as well.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place here.
Even by Swiss standards, this is a beautiful place, a very beautiful country. But this corner off it, absolutely magnificent.
Not that far anymore for Sophie.
Sophie Heavy Pedersen, Ronja Blurtlinger, Sarah Kortinovis, Gina Kaluri and Zoe Cuthbert. They're your top 5 as it stands, covered by 1 minute 51 seconds. 10 seconds now, Blurtlinger.
I think it's too late.
I think it might be too late. You know, last order's been called on this one for a while now.
Entering the arena almost. Here she is. Sophie Pedersen. What a ride she did.
What a ride, yeah. Pretty much perfection the whole way round.
Yeah.
One drop bottle. Is that the only fault we can find with this one? Feels like it.
It didn't disturb her at all.
She has one look over her right-hand shoulder, gets the head down, and now Sophie Heavy Pedersen can start to celebrate because she is about to win the second round of the UCI Mountain Bike Cross Country Olympic Under-23 race. Sophie Heavy Pedersen for Denmark crosses the line to hold on to that leader's jersey in some style. One drop bottle, just about the only mistake, the only negative part I could find from that performance today. Ronja Blurtlinger.
From Switzerland here.
From Switzerland. Absolutely dug deep today, but it wasn't enough to beat the Flying Dane. She went from the get-go, never looked back.
11 seconds at the finish line.
Over to Gustav now, the pressure's on.
Yeah.
Third place then, if we prepare to welcome Sarah Kortinovis. Look at the smile, she's happy with that one, Bart. Onto the podium.
Smile on her face.
Onto the podium.
Yeah, strong ride for Sarah Kortinovis.
For Santa Cruz RockShox Pro Team. Gina Kaluri on a podium rider from last time. Last time out in the Czech Republic. 4th place today.
A good ride, but she just missed the podium.
A good ride, but just didn't have those last couple of laps to become a factor in this one.
Not that much in between these riders.
Not much between them at all. You can see the computer's getting stopped, all the essential data. That'll go under review later on, over dinner, I'm sure.
Analyzing the whole race with their trainer, their coach.
To try and figure out some answers for next week in Vega.
And try to find out the improvement, what they have to do.
Sophie Heavy Pedersen can find any of them, we're all in trouble.
Maybe practicing grabbing bottles.
Yeah, if Sophie Pedersen went round there any faster, you and I could have finished early and gone for a coffee before the men's race. So 11 seconds then. There's Zoe Cuthbert over the line. The Australian, full of smiles.
Happy with her 5th place. Strong ride.
Yeah, she had to dig deep in the Czech Republic after that crash in the short track, but that seems like due reward for the Australian. One of the big... Apologies for the language there. She celebrates with the photographers and the media.
This is what it means for these riders.
So
in the top
emotion.
5.
I don't know where they get the energy to celebrate from. I'd just be lying on the ground.
Quick after the finish.
Be lying on the ground crying.
Samara Maxwell.
Samara Maxwell, front row rider across the line for New Zealand. Just after her, Kira Bohm of Germany. There she is, your winner today, Sophie Pedersen.
The really Pirelli factory team rider.
Gives it the double pistols over the line.
Ronja Blochlinger, the 2nd place for her here in the Swiss.
You see the relief mixing with the agony. Sina Van Thiel crosses the line for Germany in 8th.
And another big smile for Sarah Kortinov on the 3rd place today.
World Cup victory. Now, how important was that early attack here in Lenzerheide? Because really, it paid dividends.
Yeah, it's very important on this course. I think it's important to be alone because myself, I'm good in the downhills. So when I'm by myself, I can do my own pace and take my lines. And yeah, so it was super important for me to be in the front alone.
And how much confidence does this give you going into the next round?
I know I'm strong, so yeah, a lot of confidence, yeah.
Great, thank you very much and congratulations.
A very strong ride, definitely it was. And yeah, next week it comes very quick. Thursday already, short track again for Sophie Pedersen. In Leogang, the next round.
We're into the season now where the races start coming thick and fast. Leogang is the next round, but let's get some results from Lenzerheide. Heavy Sophie Pedersen, Villiers Pirelli Factory Team, Ronja Blurtlinger, Live Factory Racing, Sarah Kortinovis for Santa Cruz, RockShox Pro Team in 3rd, Kaluri, Cuthbert, Maxwell, Bohm, Van Thiel, Munro, Enduro Ford.
Madigan Munro from the USA, national champ, 9th place, yeah?
Yeah, good ride from her for Trek Factory Racing. And let's see how this one unfolded then. This is how she did it.
A small gap in the 1st lap.
A highlights package where you aren't going to see too much of any other rider because Sophie Pedersen did this her way today by herself. There's that drop bottle, the only fault Bart and I could find with her performance.
Mistake.
You'd take that, wouldn't you, at the start of the day? You would take that as a result of that was your only mistake. Heads up there.
But faultless, actually, this whole
Bart, look
ride.
At her Frulo's descent.
Yeah. Must be a good feeling.
You can tell that she is somebody who has spent a lot of time going fast on bikes as well as practicing going up. Sophie Pedersen, the Dane, then takes the win.
Let's see how beautiful it is here in Lenzerheide.
Oh, it's stunning, isn't it? I'm going to throw myself into that lake later on this evening. You've been warned.
And the fans coming in more and more.
They are packing this place out. It is going to be standing room only in just a couple of hours whenever we get ready for the elite races.
And we see already the men under 23 warming up, so not that long anymore. 10:30 the start of this category.
The Swiss nation so dominant in cross-country racing. This is their home round. This is the one they all want to win. And it is coming to you on your screens live from Lenzerheide.
Ronja Blöchlinger from the Swiss. 2nd place for her today.
Technically so good, Bart, aren't they? You can just see that the tyres spend so little time locked up, skidding. They're off the brakes. They're making the bike grip.
Yep, and that's a very slippery part, actually. That
there's not much grip up there.
Turn over there, steep one. but no problems for these riders. And look at the mountains, the view. Wow, the clouds are coming in.
They are coming
Some
in.
dark ones.
You can just see some dark ones over there. They're the ones that...
Hope they stay away for a couple of hours.
They're the ones I've been spying out the commentary booth window. Beautiful lake there as well.
So nice. Also the team area, beautiful one here in Lenzerheide.
Here are the highlights then, how this one unfolded. The UCI Mountain Bike Cross Country Olympic World Cup second round for the under 23 women. It was all go on the start loop.
Zoe Cuthbert was leading in the beginning.
Zoe Cuthbert,
but it
yep.
didn't take it that long. Sophie Pedersen, she took the lead very shortly after the start.
Never looked back.
No, that chasing group, they came back till 11 seconds. Ronja Blocklinger.
We thought this might be the chasing pair, but Cuthbert moved backwards from Blurtlinger.
But the gap was there all the time. Enough for Sophie Pedersen.
It dropped to as little as 6 seconds, but never below that. 11 seconds, 16 seconds for the majority of the race.
And vision most of the time for Ronja Blocklinger. But this drop chain in the beginning of the race, when she was almost back to the lead, cost her probably a win.
It just stopped the momentum, didn't it?
Yeah.
It just stopped the momentum.
Yeah, and she was on her way to come back to the first place, but it didn't happen. Then that chasing group with 4 of them, with Sarah Kortinova, Zoe Cuthbert, Ronja Blocklinger, and Genia.
This actually works out well, look. Manages to get the bike turned around before the bottom of it.
That was a good one.
Yeah, I'd be happy with that. That's a save. Blurtlinger on the bottom of the climb. As you say, Bart, in vision for most of the time.
Yeah. It motivates riders to keep on going. But she couldn't close the gap. And then that chasing group with 3 behind her, behind Ronja Blocklinger. Sarah Kortinova, she was the strongest of that chasing group. Zoe Cuthbert, she finished 5th. Virginia Carolori, she finished 4th. Just out of the podium with a strong ride that even she had. The gaps in between the riders weren't that big, but the win was for Sophie Pedersen from Denmark in her leader's jersey. Ronja Blocklinger, 2nd place. And Sarah Kortinova from Italy, Santa Cruz RockShox team on the 3rd place.
Dann heute überreicht von Herrn Markus Fritschke, Leiter der Marken ÖKK und einer der Hauptfahrer des Mountainbike-Weltcups Lenzerheide.
In 3rd place today, representing the Santa Cruz RockShox Pro Team, it is...
There we are then, the podium. Your 3rd place rider today, Sarah Kortinova. Happy with that one.
Yeah. To be on the podium, it's always nice. And who wouldn't be like to stay on that podium? Beautiful one.
Yeah, it's a good podium, isn't it?
Yeah, looks really nice.
It's great, Bart, as well, that we get these podiums turned around so quickly now after the races as well, and the riders get to enjoy them and not hang around for hours waiting for them.
I like it. And the fastest bike also on the podium on the left, on your left-hand side.
It looks clean, but they cleaned it.
Actually, the course it's not that muddy at all.
It's not that muddy, is
No.
it? Here is your winner then. She did it her way. She did it her way from the front and was alone for pretty much all of it. Sophie Pedersen takes to the top step, pops the seat up. Even now, she's still working. Bit of attention to detail there, Bart. Great to see. Sophie Pedersen the Villiers Pirelli factory team.
The first race of the day is done.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sophie Pedersen, Ronja looking at and now the champagne. Well deserved for these ladies, a 4-hour multi-race.
Champagne for these riders.
Champagne for the Podium riders.
Shower.
Congratulations, ladies. Don't go away. In a few moments, we will present our overall leader's jersey after our stop.
It's early for champagne, but why not after a performance like that? Sophie politely requested to stay where she is to receive the leader's jersey that she... Oof. That trophy nearly going awry there for Portnovis.
Gentlemen, your U23 XCO leader after Lenzerheide, winning for the jersey, and presenting the jersey.
The overall jersey then, re-secured, and that is the big one. After that display today, I'm not sure Sophie Pedersen needs any more confidence, but that points lead will certainly give her some more.
A different course next week.
All about the climbing, Leo gang. All about the climbing.
Old school, they call it.
Yep.
With a lot of climbing involved.
That would have favoured
With a shape like this, I think no problems.
It would have favoured a young Bart Brenchens, I reckon, Leo gang, but we might see the likes of a Sarah Cortinovis maybe coming to the front at that one.
Yeah, she's a good climber. But there's also the shape you have of the day.
Pedersen.
It doesn't mean a win today that you will have another one next week.
Pedersen then from Blurtlinger, Kaluri, Cortinovis, Bury, Johnson, Maxwell, Bohm, Cuthbert, Garnier. That is your overall as it stands. 77 points to the good now. The Dane ahead of the Swiss rider at the front. Well, that is it from the under-23 women's race, but don't move a muscle. We are here for the men's UCI Mountain Bike Cross Country Olympic World Cup, kicking off at 10:30 Central European time. Just enough time to get a coffee. Make yourself comfortable.
Half an hour, and we are back.
Hour. Yeah, we're back. We will see you then. Thanks for watching.